Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on the con call of Sobha Limited. Today from the management we have with us Mr. J.C. Sharma, the Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Subhash Bhatt, the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ramesh Babu, VP Finance, Mr. Vigneshwar Bhatt, the Company Secretary and Compliance Officer, and Mr. Tejas Singh, the Head of Investor Relations. I would now like to hand it over to the management for their opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Adidev, for hosting this con call. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to connect with you today post declaration of our audited financial results for the fourth quarter and financial year ended 31st March 20 through this con call hosted by ICICI Securities. We already shared the details of operational update of the company in the first week of April 2020. The investor presentation based on the financial results adopted by the board has also been downloaded in our website, and it is available for you to download. The economic impact of the 2020 coronavirus pandemic in India has been largely disruptive. The World Bank and rating agencies had already initiated downgrading of India's growth for fiscal year 2021 with the best we have ever seen in last 3 decades, since the economic liberalization had started in the 1990s. However, after the announcement of the economic package in mid-May, India's GDP estimates have further downgraded even more to negative numbers, signaling a deep recession. On 26th May, CRISIL announced that this will perhaps be India's worst recession since independence. The economy was under complete lockdown from 24th to 25th to 2020 till 2nd of May 2020, and it has impacted adversely every sector. We were also not insulated from this kind of an impact where the production had stopped completely, sales were impacted, collections were impacted, and we had to go through with managing the fixed cost of the organization. After the lockdown got opened from the migration of the labor also somehow escalated the situation where production could not come back to the normalcy. Despite Sobha having more than 10,000 workmen, and despite Sobha having paid to these workmen its basic wages during the lockdown period, we were not able to hold on to these workers. And as things stand today, less than 50% of these workmen we have been able to retain. And with these workmen, we are continuing with our current operations, both on the real estate side as well as on the contracting and the manufacturing side. We also see that the adverse impact on Indian real estate has been quite huge during this lockdown period, and it will take its own time to come back to the normalcy. This is an industry which was already over-leveraged, and somehow was coming out of this deep recession because of starting from demonetization to RERA to GST. And if you look at our financial results for the whole year, up to 15th of March 2020, we were going ahead with record sales, record collections, record profitability, and almost record on every parameter, be it contracting division, be it real estate division, be it manufacturing division. But this stoppage of work due to the lockdown had hurt us as well, and this is reflected in our fourth quarter results and likely to be seen in the current financial year, especially in the first quarter of this financial year. However, we were prudent enough to bring down our fixed cost, improve efficiency, and even in the last quarter, we were able to bring down our debt by 70 crores, which our CFO will be talking about in greater detail. We also took proactive measures to see to it that wherever collections were getting delayed, we identified those customers and started engaging ourselves with them. Some of them we believe will not be going forward, the sales numbers, and some of them will continue. But as things stand today, we started releasing some of that inventory to the new customers to see that our cash flows improve. On the positive side, the liquidity of the company has remained quite robust. The interest rates continue to come down. Available limits also remain where most of the banks continue to support and fund. Especially, we would like to be thankful to the public sector banks who have been giving even the new limits in this pandemic. On the new sales front, the first 2 months have been a bit difficult, but we are clearly seeing the signs of revival from the month of June onwards. The levels of inquiries or the opportunities are now almost back to what it was a pre-COVID level. And if this trend continues in our view, we not only will be able to recoup most of the sales which we have lost in the first 2 months, but maybe at the fag end, we may be even better than what we have achieved in the last quarter of this financial year. Our optimism also stems from the fact that we are continuing to go ahead with our new launch program, which somehow will get delayed because of the approval-related challenges, but definitely we will try to launch them in this financial year to the extent possible. We also believe that this year we will not be making new investments in new opportunities, though we will continue to explore new opportunities on a development manager model, and which will ensure that even in this financial year, our debt doesn't go up, rather it comes down and the debt equity level further comes down. Net, the comfort is on the new sales, the comfort is on bringing down the debt, the comfort is on reducing the interest cost. But on the billing side, we have been affected. It will take at least another 3 to 4 months for us to go back to the normal construction cycle where the billing will be better. But the cash flows on the unsold inventory should help us to manage the outflow and see to it that our performance overall is above the industry performance. I will now leave our CFO, Subhash Bhatt, to continue with the performance details of the company.
Thanks, Sharmaji. Good evening, friends. FY20 has been one of the best years for Sobha, in spite of all the unforeseen global events that we had gone through. The best practices that we follow, being a pioneer player in view of our own self-reliant model of construction and timely delivery of quality products, we are able to achieve record operational performance. We have achieved highest sales volume during the year, proving again the confidence entrusted in the brand of Sobha by our customers. During the year, we have also delivered 5.86 million square feet of developable area, which reflects our strong delivery capability. While our real estate vertical continues to be a major contributor to our top line, the contractual and manufacturing vertical contribution is also incrementally growing year on year and proving to be a strong support to our overall operations. During FY 19-20, the contractual and manufacturing verticals have reported highest ever revenue. We also have good visibility of ongoing and future projects in this vertical during the coming quarters. While there are estimates and projections for first half of FY21, especially Q1 21, would be a washout due to all the economic activity coming to a grinding halt, we do continue to see consistent inquiries through our various digital and conventional models that we have. Overall, we have unsold inventory of 16.51 million square feet, which we consider adequate in the given market scenario. And we continue to see good demand for our core offering, that's home priced between 50 lakhs to 2 crores during FY20, which comprised 81% of our sales volume for the year. Despite few launches during FY20, we have achieved all-time high pre-sales volume of 4.07 million square feet. We continue to enjoy sufficient liquidity from banks and financial institutions for meeting our obligations. And as of 31st of March 2020, we have delivered overall 109.74 million square feet of developable area, which is one of the highest in our sector. Bangalore market continues to dominate with about 74% of our total sales and has seen the least impact of COVID-19 among all the metros and is expected to perform better as we go forward. Though there is a temporary shortage of labor, which Sharma ji mentioned, still all our project sites are operating with sufficient labor required for the construction and billing activity for our ongoing projects. And all our ongoing projects are on schedule for delivery as per the RERA timeline. Our dependency on rental income is very minimal in our top line, and hence we feel that in the medium and the long term, our revenue stream will be more sustainable in this industry. Good cash inflow visibility from ongoing and completed projects, focus on cost optimization, and cash flow and working capital management will help us keep our debt equity under control in these uncertain times and help us perform better. On the planned launches, as Sharma ji mentioned, we will continue to focus and reposition our offerings as per the changing market behaviors and within the overall market sentiment. We have visibility of 14.23 million square feet of planned launches in residential real estate and about 0.39 million square feet of commercial project space, which we believe should augur well in the projected market scenario in the coming quarters and years. As of 31st of March 2020, we have unsold completed project inventory of only 0.62 million square feet, valued at rupees 3.5 billion, which is one of the lowest in the industry. And it shows our capability to sell inventory before the project completion. We have achieved 60% sale on the area which is released for sales in ongoing projects. Committed receivables from the sold units stand at rupees 32.2 billion as of 31st of March 2020. This provides a coverage of 72% of the balance cost to be spent on ongoing projects which are offered for sale. Additionally, we have cash flow visibility of 22.13 billion from contractual and manufacturing verticals, which supplements the overall cash flow visibility for the company. With this backdrop, we summarize the company's performance for fourth quarter and the financial year as follows. For the Q4 FY20, our total income was at 9.28 billion, the real estate revenue contributing at 4.31 billion, and the contract and the manufacturing revenue at 4.79 billion. The contract and the manufacturing revenue was up by 26% as compared to the last year, quarter 4 of last year. The EBITDA was returned at 1.84 billion with the margin at 20%, PBT at 0.81 with a margin at 9%, and PAT at 0.51 billion with a margin at 5%. We are pleased to announce that the net debt was reduced by 0.71 billion during this quarter, and consequently the debt equity as of March fell to 1.24. The cost of borrowing has come down for consecutive quarters and now stands at 9.69% as of 31st of March 2020. Coming to the full year highlights, full year we had all-time high total income at 38.26 billion, which is 9% higher as compared to FY19. The real estate revenue clocked again all-time high of 22.8 billion, and contracts and manufacturing at an all-time high of 14.74 billion. The contracts and the manufacturing revenues were 25% higher as compared to the earlier year. The all-time high EBITDA for this current year was 8.31 billion, which was 11% higher as compared to the last year. The margin continues to be at 22%, with the PBT at 4.33 billion and the margin at 11%, the PAT at 2.82 billion with the margin at 7%. Coming to the cash flows for the quarter, the total cash inflow for the quarter was 9.45 billion, which is 5% higher as compared to the sequential quarter of Q3 of this year. The real estate inflows stood at 6 billion, 5% higher as compared to the sequential quarter, and the contracts from the manufacturing inflow was at 3.45 billion, again 5% higher as compared to the sequential quarter. We generated net operating cash flow of rupees 2.14 billion and a net cash inflow of 0.71 billion. For the full year, we had the highest cash inflow, which stood at 36.47 billion, and the real estate inflow contributed to 23.64 billion, and the contracts at an all-time high of 12.83 billion, which was 21% higher as compared to the last year. Coming to the operational highlights, as communicated during first week of April 2020, we sold 0.91 million square feet during the fourth quarter of FY 19-20, totally valued at rupees 6.94 billion. We have achieved total sales price realization of 7,668 per square feet, which is 13% higher as compared to the sequential quarter of Q3. During FY 19-20, we have recorded highest ever pre-sales volume of 4.07 million square feet with a total sales value of rupees 28.80 billion, with the average price realization of rupees 7,075 per square feet. During this financial year, we launched Sobha Nesara in Pune with a developable area of 0.68 million, Sobha Verdure in Coimbatore with a developable area of 0.14 million, and Sobha Blossoms in Chennai with a developable area of 0.3 million. We have also launched Sobha Sterling Infinia Block 1 and Block 2 projects under DM model in Bangalore with a total developable area of 0.3 million square feet. In total, we have launched projects totaling 1.42 million square feet during FY 19-20. During FY 20, we have completed a total of 3.98 billion square feet of developable area. Some of the major project completions were Sobha Clovely with a developable area of 0.53 million, Sobha Silicon Oasis, Wings 7, 8 and 17 row houses with developable area of 0.35 million, Sobha Meadows in Mysore with a developable area of 0.25 million, and our Green Acres segment, we completed 8 wings well ahead of the RERA deadline. This has proved our ability to deliver ahead of scheduled time, and in addition to this, we have also completed the commercial mall One Sobha in Bangalore with a developable area of 0.38 million square feet. The company is also planning during the current year and coming quarters thereafter to launch 14.23 million square feet of new housing projects in Bangalore, Gurgaon, Delhi, Chennai, Hosur, Thrissur, Gift City, Hyderabad and Trivandrum, and 0.39 million square feet of commercial projects in Bangalore in the coming quarters. We have a strong presence in residential real estate and the contractual business verticals, and we continue to have limited exposure to commercial and rental projects. Coming to our contracts and manufacturing business, our contracts business is a consistent contributor to our top line, and during this financial year, contractual revenues and cash flows have grown by 25% and 21% respectively as compared to the last year. In total, we have completed projects to the tune of 51 million square feet since inception. Currently, ongoing contract projects aggregate to 9.44 million square feet under various stages of construction. We have a healthy order book as of 31st of March 2020, which is at 22.13 billion, giving us good visibility for revenue and cash inflows in the coming quarters as well. All these segments are contributing meaningfully in our top line as well as to our bottom line. We can now start taking questions. You can open the conference for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. We will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, please press star 1. We have a first question from the line of Kunal Lakhan from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, Sharmaji, and good evening, Subhash.
Good evening.
Sir, quickly on these cancellations, I don't know whether you covered it because I got logged out during your opening commentary. So
Sharmaji covered it in the opening comments.
So just wanted to understand, in terms of what is the value of these cancellations of 1.9 million square feet, firstly, and is it across the board or is it specific to certain projects? And if you can also understand, help us understand what is the timeline of these sales which got cancelled. Are these sales which have happened recently, just prior to COVID, or these are sales which were done a while back and got cancelled during last quarter?
Yeah. Sharmaji, I will answer this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kunal, the overall value of this 1.93 million is about Shobha's share is about 1,235 crores, of which we have received about 202 crores till date. So these are spread out over probably last 3 to 4 years. So these are not just last quarter or last half year, even 1 year numbers. And you have to look at it in line with the total area that we have sold in the projected cash flow, which is 19.18 million in completed and 10.81 million in the ongoing. So overall, it is not a big number as compared to what we have sold and we are delivering. And as I said, the amount of collection also from these are significant at 200 crores plus. So what we have done is we have done a deep dive into all these units with lower collections, and we have sent out cancellation letters to these customers, and at the same time opened it up for sales to our sales team. As and when the sales happen, we will keep hitting the cancellation from these customers. So as the money comes in from new customers, the old customers will get paid out.
Okay, so basically there's no forfeiture of the amount. So you're saying that they'll get.
Some of them will get forfeitures. Some as we go as per the contract. Some of them are pre-RERA, some of them are post-RERA. So each individual case will have to be dealt in line with what the contracts are.
Okay. So in that case, so the Q4 number that we have reported, that is a gross number, right? There's no net of some cancellations that we had recorded.
No. Those are gross.
And going ahead also, say for example, next in Q1, or rather in Q2, you would have some sales, some gross sales, and then there will be some resale of these units. So you'll be reporting a net number going ahead, right? Net of these resales that you'll be doing of the cancellation.
No. We will be reporting new sales because it is difficult to track and report a net number. However, in the projected cash flows, we will continue to show these cancellations till they get over.
Oh, okay. And in your assessment, do you expect this number to grow in coming quarters?
As of now, no, because we have looked at these numbers during the lockdown period. So the 2 months of lockdown was seriously utilized to go through with the sales team, the sales finance team, speak to the customers, understand if they have some concerns. And these numbers have been arrived at by a team of almost the entire sales management team and the top management, that's myself and Sharmaji together. So we don't expect this to go up right now unless the situation worsens further in the economy.
All right. And from what I understand, so there'll be no P&L impact or balance sheet impact of this since you are reselling these apartments and then you'll be refunding the customers. So would there be a P&L impact of this, or you'll be writing off some amount of inventory in Q1 or Q2?
If there is a P&L impact, it will be on the positive side. So whatever we forfeit from these customers will come into P&L as income as and when it happens. there is no adverse impact because as you are aware, under AS 115, we are recognizing revenue only on. So naturally, these apartments were not handed over. So we have not recognized a single rupee revenue on these till date.
Sure. Secondly, on the cash flow side, we have seen a positive surplus in Q4. How should we look at this going ahead? And second part to that question is like in terms of cash conservation strategies, like, you know, I mean, we look at our corporate overheads, they're still 200 crore plus. And if you look at some items like land-related payments of 264 crores in FY20, seems a little higher. Seems a little on the higher side. So how should we look at this outlay going ahead? Firstly, on the land-related payment, and secondly on the corporate overhead, and overall, like, you know, what's the trajectory of the cash flows in the coming quarters?
Okay. So as Sharma ji mentioned in his address, we have internally taken a decision that we will not be looking at new land investment during the current year. However, if you look at the status of our land bank, we have a balance payable of almost 142 crores, which we are trying to work out and defer out as much as possible from the current year to the next year. So we will try to conserve our cash payments in that sector. However, new transactions may happen with very, very minuscule investment by Sobha under the DM model for the land purpose. Sharma ji, would you like to?
You can continue with the fixed costs and other things also, Subhash.
Yeah, okay. So on the fixed cost, what we have done is we have looked at in detail our overhead and interest. So if you look at our the cost of overheads, which is the salary cost for the payroll that Sobha carries, as well as the indirect labor cost that was being carried under our Atmanirbhar model that we have. So we have taken very good decisions to curtail whatever is possible. Overall, we are looking at 15 to 20% reduction in the overhead cost going forward. This is mainly coming in from the job rationalizations that we are looking at, plus a lot of people who have gone back, the labor, they would not be coming up at least for 1 or 2 more quarters. So those savings have been factored in, and 15 to 20% saving is what we expect on the fixed cost. On the interest side, we are working with the banks, pushing them to pass on the reductions that the RBI has passed on in terms of repo rate cut, but it is not turning out to be as easy as one would expect. And yes, even on that front, we should see interest cost reduction coming in from better debt management as well as getting actual reduction from the banks.
Sure. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First question is just a couple of clarifications from your opening remarks. One, did you mention that you expect net debt to go down by end of fiscal 21? That's question number one. And second is, did you also mention that if things remain, start improving, then you expect net new pre-sales for this year to be same as previous or even better than that? So just these two clarifications.
We do expect that overall net debt in this current financial year ending 31st March 2021 to come down. And accordingly, we have been working out our cash inflow, cash outflow program. And we believe that worst possible time, because in the last quarter also, there was a reduction of 70 crores. And though one more day is left, we believe the way we have managed the first quarter, we can bring down our net debt as well in this current financial year. with the clarity that new investment on the new opportunities will not be there. On the sales front, we have definitely seen improvement in the month of June. Our digital marketing is very good number of inquiries. It is a bit premature because site visits are still quite restricted. There are so many cities where the movement of people and goods is still not normal. But within those parameters, the number of inquiries and some conversion what we have seen in Bangalore gives us the comfort that the consolidation process is clearly on, and we should be one of the large beneficiary of that contracted demand, which should allow us to start doing better and better with the new launches. Please understand that whatever sales we have been doing, they are from the existing projects, and if the kind of response what we have got gives us some kind of a comfort that yes, we are not shying away in admitting that the environment is tough, but at the same time we are clearly seeing that there are buyers who are taking the call, there are banks who are prepared to lend us the money, and there are opportunities which need to be converted into some kind of that liquidity which will bring our debt down.
So thank you for this. So just to understand, sir, are your show flats or the sites open for customers to walk in? I mean, you mentioned about online, but also is physical inspection possible at your major sites, especially Bangalore?
Yes. It is so far it is possible, but there have been lesser number of walk-ins. The Saturdays and Sundays nowadays, because most of the offices still the work from home kind of thing are not that kind of a great Saturdays and Sundays, but weekdays have started giving good sales conversion. So net we believe that though the site visits are a bit lower, the conversion ratios are a bit better, and I am only basing on the kind of inquiries what we have got, which is as good as pre-COVID level, and the nature of inquiries which gives us the comfort because the salespeople are telling they are confident of converting some of these inquiries into sales, which should give us better than expected conversion and the outcome in the coming quarters.
Yeah, thank you so much. I got a few more. I'll get back in the queue. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Abhinav Sinha from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question. A couple of clarifications. So first, on the new sales, that we were just discussing, are you saying that the sort of 2 billion per month run rate should be back sometime in 2Q or by the end of the year?
It should be back. It should be back sooner than what we believe.
And Sharma sir, when we are seeing these new sales, what is your experience on pricing and what sort of product is doing better?
We have been able to protect our prices as well as the margins while doing the new sales. While the schemes are being offered, some kind of a concessions definitely being offered, but net the savings what we will be able to do on our fixed cost as well as somewhere on the variable cost will ensure that our overall margins do not affected is what we are looking at.
Okay, so pricing hasn't really changed such
Yes.
As compared to pre-COVID. Okay, and see on the cancellation front. So sorry, I think I missed out. You said about close to 1,000 crore was the value associated with that. Is that correct?
1,236 crores to be exact.
Right.
Of which 200 crores is already collected and is with the company.
Okay. So in these cases, I mean, you have not cancelled the house, but you have offered it to some other customer, do you have sort of a, MOU with the pre-buyer, the earlier buyer, that he will vacate the house? I mean, how exactly is this working?
See, contractually, these customers were supposed to make us payments. The ERP, the sales finance department, had been sending the reminders. During normal days, we would have collected because the refund would have become difficult. The contractual obligation was always that until unless I am not able to sell this to a new customer, I will not be cancelling it. And the onus was on the customer to find out a buyer or he suffers, sort of a thing. Here we changed that part, but contractually still the same condition applies. That having understood that somewhere the jobs have been lost or the salaries are much lesser than what it was, and the payments are not forthcoming, and significant payment has been made, but I am deprived of my cash flows, and we will get into the litigation part. So as CFO was telling, a deeper analysis was done where all the connected peoples got involved, and this is what proactively we have done.
Okay. Abhinav, one more thing you need to remember is in Karnataka till now, registration of the agreement to sell is not there. What you do is just pay a very minuscule stamp duty and you sign the agreement. And the housing finance companies use that document to enter into the TPA. So there is no need of this customer coming to the registrar and agreeing for the cancellation.
Right. Okay. My point here was that, see, if I'm a new buyer, I am expecting an unencumbered sort of property, right? So just from
you are getting a completely unencumbered because it is not a registered agreement.
Okay. So just one last question also.
Sorry. Abhinav, the new customer won't even know that it is a existing sold property.
Right. Okay. So just last question on the contractual front. Now with about 3 odd months or 4 odd months of effective activity lost, what sort of revenues are we looking at for this year? Thank you.
See, the order book is still intact. We first time achieved 1,000 crore plus of contracting revenue and 450 crore plus of manufacturing revenue. We could have done a little bit more. But again, the last 15 days, we couldn't do the billing part. This year, again, the order book remains, but the strength of the labor is not that good. On the manufacturing side, we have to be extra careful that whatever we produce and supply, we should be able to get the payments. If amount of money is not collected, we are not going aggressive, even if the order is there. So there will be some kind of a contraction in the contracting and manufacturing billing in the first 2 quarters, and we believe that from 3rd quarters onwards only the normalcy is likely to be restored.
Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Swagato Ghosh from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. Sir, I have 2 questions on the cancellation. You mentioned that these units were sold over the last 4 or 5 years. So I just want to understand that for some of the units sold maybe 4 or 5 years back, why weren't these kind of steps taken much earlier? Like maybe 2 years ago, when we saw that cash flows were not coming in.
Okay. Sonia, these are not only for 4 or 5 years old transactions. What I said is the entire 1.93 million. Few of these units go as back as 4 years. So if you look at the slide 10 that we have put out, it clearly shows it's 0.37 million in the completed one and 1.56 million in the ongoing. So these are
Yeah, I understood that bit. I'm saying for those units, for those older units, why did we wait 4 or 5 years before taking this call? Why wasn't a more proactive step taken?
There is substantial collection which is there from these. So it is out of the 1,200, crores, almost 200 crores is collected and sitting with the company. So these are not small sums of money that the customer has paid right now, and suddenly you go and tell him that I'm going to cancel. So we don't have a policy of going and cancelling on our own. Okay. So that's what it is. This is the first time we have looked at it, and we have proactively met the customer, called the customers, spoken to them, understood what is happening, are they going for home loans, and then few of the cases we checked with the home loan finance companies also, and due to, as Sharmaji mentioned, some few of these customers losing their jobs or the salaries coming down, the eligibility for the loans also would have gone down.
NBFCs had stopped funding, certain eligibility were there, and we believe that this is the time where if we are going to have adverse impact on our own cash flows by not releasing this inventory. At the same time, under normal circumstances, we would have tried to forfeit as much money as possible and kept these bookings in our books without any problem.
Got it. That's helpful, sir. And sir, any broad breakup of how much of this is from Bangalore market and how much is from the other markets?
It would be in the same ratio, 75-25.
Okay. And one other follow-up is, has the entire kitchen sinking been done this quarter, or in the 32 billion of receivable we might see further these kind of cancellations if the situation in the economy worsens further?
See, on this front also, first more than 75% of the sales come from Bangalore. The Bangalore has introduced that model sale agreement now. It has been notified and it will be used. So it will become extremely difficult both for the seller as well as for the buyer to go for the cancellations once the 10% of the payment has been made. But at the same time, if the economic conditions deteriorate, this will happen not only to us, but in our view, with almost every single developer today in India. We believe that it is the time where we do our own analysis and come out and communicate it proactively. I cannot comment, but if the economy deteriorates and the customers are not going to go forward, we have both the options. Either we do not cancel, keep the booking and enjoy the money and sell the other apartments, or we show sympathy, allow the cancellations to go ahead. At the same time, have that extra apartment available to be resold to a new buyer who will give us the full payment. The choice will be with the Shobha, not with the customer.
Got it. Very helpful, sir. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Parikshit Kandpal from HDFC Securities.
Hi, sir. So my question is again on the cancellation. So if I understand, this 200 crores on 1236 is basically 15% or 16% of the collections. So if you can, on an average, quantify what kind of construction progress you would have incurred on these projects?
That is also given for this combined entity in page 10 presentation, the amount spent. So that's the collective spent what we have done. This has got nothing to do with the cancellation part.
Okay. But can't we give them some, because your realization here is around 6,000 if I do the math, so this is a little lower than your 7,000 average realization. So if you give them some discounts, or it's just because if they were just there.
We will do that also. See, when we say probable words, some of them may come forward and buy also. But this is what you have done just now, and you will keep a close watch. Basic, again, issue is we are not in default. The products and the projects are being executed as per the guidelines. In none of the projects, we are on the default side. It is they are on the default side. And we have ensured that when we are on the default side, what we should be doing, deliberated and came to this conclusion.
So any large chunky projects here by breakup 1.9 million, so how many projects this would comprise of? And
it is spread through, as you said, even on the completed projects also some sales which have taken place, the payments have not come. So from completed projects to the projects which got launched, it will be there.
So in 15, 20 projects, the impact would be on 15, 20 projects, 10 projects, 5 projects. So basically, I want to understand that. See how many.
All the ongoing projects. Every single project got what you call.
So all the entire area and the development as basically being appraised, and wherever there's a sense of possibility of getting that.
Precisely. Yes, that is.
Okay. The second question is on contractual, this pipeline now, sir. So we have been hearing about the IT companies and the client now looking on a cash conservation kind of a thing, and they'll cut down on their capex or expansion plan. So you have an order book right now. So are you hearing from any of your clients that they want to basically stop the work for time being, and also a commentary on what is the future outlook, how they are looking to award more area or go for expansions? If you can touch upon this.
We have limited exposure to one client, and I continue to work for them. Otherwise, our experience is limited on this aspect. I do believe that yes, somewhere some delays and other issues as we move forward will be felt by the developers as the clients delay. But in our case, fortunately or unfortunately, how you look at, even the workers are also not there. So even if you would have got, suppose the order, rather the pressure is there on a few clients to complete the projects and workers are not there. So I do not know how to assess that situation, but none of the order has been lost. The order book remains intact, and none of the clients say go slow on the projects which we are executing.
Any commentary on the outlook from your clients, like are they evaluating going for more expansion? So any visibility on the upcoming order book in the contractual segment you can touch?
My views again is not of an expert, but what I gather is following. The new clients as well as the existing clients, they are definitely asking for the price cut. The work from home for the limited number of employees is going to be there. They are tentative on their growth or capex program. At the same time, they are confident that as such, that the core outlook of the India's IT sector has rather become better with the kind of restrictions and the benefit what the India provides to these global clients. This uncertainty may last for maybe 1 or 2 quarters more, but per se, the core significance and importance of the India being the back office and the IT backbone, in my view, has not been impacted at all.
Okay. This last question, sir, on pre-sale. So versus pre-COVID, so what kind of like monthly run rate or little color on like where we should be now, 30%, 40%, what kind of levels will be now?
We'll be sharing our operational numbers next week. But the context what I am trying to communicate is that even in the month of April also, we did few sales. In the month of May also, the sales momentum was there. But the June had been particularly a good month, whether it is a pent-up demand or whether it is a consistency. Too early to announce, but the kind of inquiries and the kind of confidence which our salespeople have expressed, it is almost back to the pre-COVID levels as far as we are concerned.
Wow. Okay. Great, sir. Great. We'll wait for your update, but good to hear that June we are almost at the pre-COVID levels. So, thank you. Look forward.
Thank you. So we have next question from the line of Dhaval Samaya from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Sharma ji and Subhash sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Majority of my questions have been answered, but I wanted to understand firstly on the Bangalore sales for Q4 seem to be dipped significantly. Any specific reason for the same?
See, normally the sales people they try to give certain benefit to the customers and try to do the booking disclosure, the logging in part in the last week. Sometimes 15 to 20% of the monthly sales is getting logged in on the last day of the month. But normally it is always in excess of 10%. So they keep the check dated 30th or 31st and log in, sort of a thing. This did not happen, and all those sales got lost. But at the same time, I repeat that in the month of April and May also, certain things have happened. We have progressed quite a bit in tying up with the banks, especially with the HDFC and with the SBI, where 7 accept the KYC, where SBI had sent its representative even to the customer's home, and also had extended that in any SBI branch, any customer can go and do the KYC. They have been quite helpful in doing the agreements, in releasing the money, and certain things which we have achieved during this COVID period has made us more efficient in what you call reading the demand letters, in collecting the money, in completing the agreements part, and all such things should augur well as the normalcy is restored. Right now, in the midst of the pandemic, so the certainty part is definitely at a discount. But at the same time, I keep repeating that the optimism has come back as far as the Bangalore market is concerned, and this should augur well for our sector as a whole.
Thank you, sir. So second question is that, sir, as you mentioned that the optimism is coming back, especially from June, and some of your peers have done some e-launches in the month of June, and they have also experienced some good traction. So do we have any plans to launch any project in the next quarter anytime soon in Bangalore through such mediums, e-launch or something like that?
We are working on a couple of projects, but we need to be sure, because if we launch, again, there are commitments, other things connected with that are there. The labor productivity and the production has to come back to the normal. See, right now, we all have got visa extension. Launching is not only what is we should be focusing on. At the end of the day, we need to deliver, we need to complete, and we need to collect money against all the ongoing projects. We are at 5% of our normal production, and we need to go back to the 100%. We still feel that it may take one more quarter to get back to that normalcy. So even if you launch a project and if you are not able to mobilize the resources, that may sometimes prove to be productive. That kindly bear in mind.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And one last question, if I may. Subhash, sir, the contractual and manufacturing expenses in this quarter were around 250 odd crores, whereas historical run rate has been around 300 odd crores. So should we expect, is this a one-off, or should we expect the contractual expenses to be on the lower side going forward?
Contractual revenue or inflow?
Expense. Contractual and manufacturing expenses. Your cash outflow.
No, contractual and manufacturing was one-off because, as Sharma ji mentioned, the last 15 days because of the lockdown, the spends could have got curtailed.
Okay. Thank you. That will be all from me.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Sameer Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the follow-on. So just wanted to check on your commercial new launch, 0.39 million square foot, and that was spread across 3 projects. So how are you thinking about building this rental portfolio? Would you be thinking of doing large format, campus-style developments? Your thoughts, please.
It is like this, Samir, that we believe to begin with that the preserving the cash or the liquidity is important. And to that extent, we'll be careful to see that our debt doesn't go up. Even the commercial level activities, whatever we do, we have to do keeping such things into mind where somewhere the cash flow has to improve upon. These are small projects, and I believe that the company has got the required wherewithal to absorb the outflow as the things progress. The retail mall, if you look at which got started after 80 days of closure, has reached to 60-65% of the opening. The food courts and the cinema hall not working. Though it only 1% of our total top line, less than 1% rather, but it gives us the kind of discomfort that new investment needs to be done with utmost caution. At the same time, the HPMC kind of a project, we have started discussing in the market if we can bring an investor or a partner, we look at that option also to see that the opportunity also is taken and the cash flow is also somehow minimized on this kind of a project.
Okay, so that's great. And so on residential pipeline of 14 million square foot, how much of this is dependent on your confidence in the market and how much is really regulatory approvals which is holding back, and what's a realistic number for the current year?
See, if you look at this Nagdanhalli project, we have got both the layout approval as well as the building plan approval. But the building plan approval comes with certain cost, ground rent and others, where the developers are getting some comfort from the court, on to the court. Till we do not get those kind of relief, we are not going to go ahead and launch the project. Similarly, project of
your voice is cracking.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, better now, sir. Thank you.
Right. So the Yadvanhalli project also in Bangalore, a luxury project. We have got the layout approval, but there are certain compliances like environment where public hearing is a must. And in this environment, the government has not dispensed with the public hearing. So those projects, till the situation comes to the normal or the government dispenses with this public hearing kind of a clause, those projects will be stuck. So we have somewhere the environmental type, the regulatory issues, somewhere our own issues. But at the end of the day, all such things, in my view, government is looking for revenue. Some concession will be granted, and we should be in a position to give better clarity by the end of this quarter's results.
Okay, so sir, one final one. I think you have got a large land parcels in Chennai, in Sri Perumbudur area. So, sir, what's the thought process of monetizing that those land parcels?
See, a smaller one, we have got certain inquiries on Tambaram. Again, this lockdown has impacted with going ahead. If we succeed in monetizing the Tambaram land parcel, we'll be focusing on the Sri Perumbudur land parcel also, Sandeep.
And when you say that, so you mean to say you're thinking of selling down some land, not developing and selling apartments?
That includes that also. At the same time, we do get certain inquiries from the logistic warehousing kind of a thing, but we are not applying thoughts on that for the time being.
Okay, sir. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir.
We have next question from the line of Swagato Ghosh from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my follow-up. So on the cancelled units, I presume those buyers did not tie up for housing loans. So can you help us understand that what percentage of consumers, what percentage of your customers historically do not have housing loans?
It is given in our presentation, right? If you are an NRI, sometimes we will not be knowing or taking money through other sources. but about 40% plus customers in our case, they do not opt for housing loan.
Okay. But going forward, will you be more, I think, critical in actually selling to these people, or would this number be at this level?
So this is, as I repeat, kind of a scenario which, in our view, most of the developer fraternity is going through. How they take the call, it is up to them. In our case, we felt that to ensure that this inventory becomes monetizable, we have taken this call where the delay is there from the customer side. It was our option to continue or to cancel, continue, keep the money and not to sell that apartment, or to release it for sale and at the same time refund the money with certain administrative cost.
Yeah, no, so that I understood. I was just saying, for any future sales that we make and which do not have housing loan, will we put them under maybe scanners?
No. See, as you said, the deep diving was done, right? The payment track record was tracked. The concerned salesman was taken into confidence. The CRM people was taken into confidence. You cannot do just like that. After all, they have taken a booking of an immovable property. At the same time, if you do not act proactively, it would have remained in our inventory for a few more quarters, and maybe what would have happened, anybody's guess thereafter.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Murtaza Arsiwala from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. So two questions from my side. One is on the retail mall. Can you give us some color on the kind of renegotiations you may have had or rebates you may have given to the tenant? And second, sir, the last time we interacted, you were talking about, in Dubai, the promoter entity sort of separating some of the transactions that they had entered into. Can you give some color on whether these transactions have been closed or where they stand today?
As far as the retail mall part is concerned, we have given 100% waiver for the closure period. We have also requested the mall shop owners that once they open and they start the mall, we will see to it how to go about on from a minimum guarantee to some other model. We are too small a player. We are following the leading mall operators of India and will follow the best practices where we would like to retain these mall owners and try to see that at some point of time they reciprocate it. On the Dubai front, yes, the joint venture part, it has been amicably resolved and the agreements have been entered into between both the parties, where the promoter has got a large chunk of land parcel unencumbered, paid for with certain reduction in the loan.
Okay.
Sir, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Manish Agarwal from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I was looking at the cash flow statement, slide 14. So the real estate project expenses for this quarter and contract and manufacturing expenses for this quarter have been lower than the historical run rate. So if you look at Q4 19 or Q3 20, it has been lower. So I'm assuming last 15 days would have impacted and this cost would ideally have been higher. Is that the correct assumption?
No, Manish. It is lower to an extent because of the last 15 days. Exactly not last 15 days, probably from 22nd to 31st. So that's the time when the lockdown happened. But as we have been mentioning also in our earlier calls, the real estate spend was going to come down. So that is the reflection of it. Contractual, yes, we normally end up spending about 80% of whatever you collect. So that you can attribute the lowering to the last week not being there for the spend.
Okay. And secondly, on the capex front, so what will be the general capex run rate for the full year?
So as Sharma ji mentioned, we are looking at doing these commercial projects also, but within the cash flow limitations that we have. And overall, we would like to bring down our debt equity to 1.1 before we start spending anything further on the capex.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Abhishek Bhandari from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Sir, I have two questions. First is on slide number 40. Could you help us with the rental rates for these two malls, and when do you expect the rentals to commence at both Thrissur and Bangalore?
Thrissur is already there. It's an operating mall. And during FY 19-20, we had total rental income of 29 crores.
And the St. Mark's property?
St. Mark's property is still, it is under rent-free period and fit-out period. And as and when it starts, probably another 2 months, it will be about 70 crores a year.
Okay. My related question on this slide is for the remaining three malls, what would be your commitment on capex side, and what will be the schedule for that in next 1 or 2 years?
So right now, if you see the approvals, we have approvals for Sobha City, which is 28,000 square feet. And for the rest of the two, there is no, the approvals are still not there in hand. So it will take some time before the approval comes in. So right now, there is no actual commitment from Sobha for the spend on it.
And that is a mixed development along with some 70 odd apartments with the small land parcel in the Sobha City front. So the cash flows of the residential space will be more than adequate to take care of this kind of a small expenditure.
Yeah, that's for the Sobha City one.
So the approval is there.
Yeah.
Right, sir. So my second question is on your residential business. It might be early, but there are certain experts who claim to say that with work from home, the demand for bigger houses would increase, and if the prices remain lower or they might fall, the affordability might increase. So in that case, are you changing your launch programs in favor of larger houses where you have a definite edge over some of your competitors in Bangalore, or do you think it is too premature to call out that trend?
See, Abhishek, if you look at, though I have not done a fact study, but my gut feeling says that the average size of the apartment what we sell and the average square feet realization what we do, they are both above the industry average. If we also look at basically the sales number, 2/3 is above 1 crore and about 34% is below 1 crore. If you look at between 50 lakhs to 2 crore of the apartment value, 80% plus of the sales come within that category. Mostly our average size is a 3-bedroom apartment of 1,500 to 1,650 square feet. And that is a good enough looking at the nuclear family with that work from home kind of a concept. 7 except the Dreamacre and the Dream Series projects. Most of the projects what we have been launching or have launched in the recent past, they are in the luxury category. And always we had this belief that while the affordable does give certain GST benefit and certain income tax benefit, in a city like Bangalore with the prices hovering around 6,000 rupees, it will be the 3-bedroom apartment which will be the staple, what you call, product which will sell the most. And this is where we have got some kind of an extra advantage over others. Going forward, this particular segment will get reinforced, is my view, and Sobha will definitely take advantage out of that.
Sure, sir. So my last question is, more on your NRI sales. So, again, here there are two schools of thoughts. One says that with the oil remaining low the Middle East economies are doing poor, and there will be a lot of reverse migration of Indians back into India, which could impact the repatriation of money. So that could impact the housing demand in markets like Kerala. On the other hand, people who are coming back might be coming with money saved and might want to buy a house. So do you think the push and pull on these two parameters would be positive for you in markets like Kerala going into next 12 to 18 months? It may not play out in next one quarter, but maybe over 12 to 18 months.
I think answer lies in your question alone. Yes, you have got this kind of a mixed challenges. If you have lost a job and you are returning to India, you will be a bit tentative because with the job security buying a home and without job security buying a home, these are two different propositions. But whatever little bit we have seen the experience, not only in Kerala but in other markets also, in our belief, this year and thereafter, the NRI sales will be higher in absolute numbers than what we used to achieve in last 3-4 years.
Sure. And so one last housekeeping question. What is your debt repayment for this year, and what kind of undrawn limits do you have from the banks? And on the related line, do you have any plans to raise equity or incremental debt for a short-term liquidity measures? While towards the later half, your sales will pick up as per your expectation. But for next 2 quarters, would you want to shore up your liquidity?
Subhash will give the answer about the repayment and other things. But we have no plans to raise the equity. We are quite comfortable. Some of the existing banks have shown even interest to take over some of the loans because we do not have new projects, so the new limits are not coming forward, but they are willing to fund us. So I do not per se foresee an issue in raising the required debt against the ongoing projects. That is why Subhash was mentioning that even in a tough environment, the interest cost will keep coming down and the liquidity position will keep improving. Subhash, you can give the answer about the others.
Yeah. So total repayment that is scheduled for FY21, that is this current year, is 583 crores. And for FY22 is 640 crores. And as of now, the undrawn limits that we have on our construction projects is 1,493 crores. So that you can see is much more than comfortable for next 2 years.
That's very helpful, sir. Thank you and all the best for fiscal 21.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Mohit Agarwal from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. So practically all my questions have been answered. Just one question on the broader industry. Sir, Sharma sir, you've been a part of you're part of CREDAI team, and there's been an appeal by the industry for a one-time restructuring of developer loans. If you've been part of any of the discussions, can you share what's going on? We keep on reading in the news flow about sometimes being allowed, sometimes not. The RBI is not allowing a one-time restructuring. Your thoughts on the same, and how critical it is for the industry to get a one-time restructuring?
See, my view is that what a little bit I have seen from our fraternity with this moratorium, what they have granted till August, if the restructuring is not permitted, banks will have greater problems. So it is in the larger interest of the economy that somewhere some kind of a restructuring is done, because NBFC funding is not likely to come. The private equity funding is not likely to happen. The private sector banks, they are wary of lending money, and those who had ventured out now are not showing that kind of a keenness, even with the exit. So what is left today is few public sector banks, and the whole economic load is on them to see that MSME gets funded, real estate sector gets funded, and the home loans and the individuals also get funded. So our gut feeling is that this government is too careful and it has got its own limitations, but at the same time to see to it that the borderline cases where the projects are viable and the equity is still there, they have to do the restructuring of the loans.
So it will be a partial kind of a thing.
The scheme, nobody knows. Even today also we had a con call with one of the large bankers. Even they are not aware of what is going on between the finance ministry and the RBI. So difficult to project or predict this. But what we feel that even the banks are also communicating that restructuring, especially in the real estate, where the security has got a certain value, definitely must be considered favorably.
Sure, sir. That's helpful. And sir, one last bookkeeping question. Could you share what has been the collection run rate in first quarter, approximately?
Difficult. When we give the results only we will be doing, otherwise it becomes too premature. But as I was communicating, and Subhash has also been confirming that, the company's call is not to invest in new opportunities where cash is required. The company's call is to bring down the debt further despite having the fixed cost and 2 months of literally working loss. So we are managing both the inflow and outflow prudently. We'll also ensure that we remain RERA compliant, we remain customer compliant, and on that front there is no delay. And still we will also see to it that as we committed in the last quarter that we will be able to bring down the debt, which could have been little bit more had 15 days been permitted. So here we knew from the day one that things are difficult. Overall production has been impacted, and accordingly, consequently, the overall cash flow also will get impacted. But within that parameter, to remain liquid, to remain profitable, and to keep bringing down the debt is what we have embarked upon, and we are quite confident that we are well on that course as things stand today. When we are about to end the worst possible quarter in our country's history or in our company's history.
Sure, sir. That's very helpful. Thanks a lot and best wishes.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I'd now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Adidev Chattopadhyay of ICICI Securities for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, on behalf of ICICI Securities, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on the call today and also the management for taking out the time. Now I'd like to hand it back to the management for their closing remarks.
Thank you, Adidev. And thank you all the participants for listening to us so patiently. We are again reiterating and making it clear that this has been one of the worst quarter for our Indian economy, worst quarter for our sector, and both the demand as well as the production has been impacted. At the same time, we got enough and sufficient time to relook at each and every line item of our business, and we have taken certain proactive steps which we believe will go a long way in ensuring that we face this kind of a pandemic situation in a much better manner than overall the market scenario is. We'll see to it that the sales momentum we bring back as early as possible. We will see to it that the collection mechanism also is improved further, and we will also keep a close eye on our debt as well as on our profitability. And we hope that first is probably from that part, this pandemic doesn't spread, the second wave doesn't happen, and if things remain the way what we have seen, we should be able to weather this kind of a situation with more calmness and confidence than when this problem had begun. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.